Hello, 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 and welcome to Lions Live, created by Vodafone. I'm David Flatman, and in our world, in the world of rugby, it doesn't get a lot bigger than tomorrow. The third and final decisive test, the decider between the British and Irish Lions and their opponents. Add into the mix that their opponents are South Africa and, of course, the reigning world champions and brutal world champions at that, and things are set to get a little bit spicy. Over the next half an hour or so, we've got some great guests, we've got some great insight, we hope. We'll definitely give you some match predictions. Every single one we've given you over the last few weeks have been bang wrong, so don't take any notice of them, except we definitely know what we're talking about. We're going live to Cape Town, into the Lions camp, to speak to Jason Leonard, Lions chairman, 1997 victorious Lion, World Cup winner, most caps in the history of human beings and all that stuff. You know all about Jace. We're going to speak to the chairman in a minute, and we caught up with Andy Farrell, the man who has played for Great Britain, played for England, coaches Ireland currently, double Lions coach, knows his onions. He was at his holiday home taking it easy down in South Devon. He's going to run his eye over the second test, tell us what he reckons is going to happen tomorrow too. And I'm joined again by 74 times capped former British and Irish Lion and former Lions captain, no less, Sam Warburton. Welcome, Sam. And coincidentally, also 74 times capped, that's right, isn't it, Maggie? Yeah. England international and World Cup winner herself, Maggie Alfonsi. Now, last week, Sam, the game was a hell of a contest and it was brutal and all that, but it's been widely hammered as one of the worst games to watch ever. Was I the only one that found it really compelling?
I think anybody who appreciates the history of the Lions and is like a real rugby nut who watches rugby quite regular would still love that contest. But I can understand why a neutral or somebody who only watches international rugby might have found it a bit more boring than normal. But that's just the strategy that the teams went down for that. But I agree, I found it really interesting. I am hoping for a better game tomorrow, but nevertheless, I still found it a good watch.
What about you, Maggie? Enjoy it?
Yeah, do you know, I'm a forward like you. We all love
the grind, isn't it?
We love our
scrums,
our line-outs, and there was a lot of set piece going on during the second test. But I think the only thing that was slightly disappointing was seeing all the, off-the-ball stuff, and again, we're talking about the officials in that second test, which sort of ruined it a little bit. And like Sam, I'm looking forward to this third test just being about the rugby and not being about the officials or anything that happens off the ball. I think we're going to have a really good contest at the set piece again, but hopefully there's a bit more tempo and it's not going to last 2 hours.
That's it, yeah, and it's one of those things, it's a great game. We all enjoyed the contest and all that stuff, but ultimately, if you are a social creature and you do have a table booked at a restaurant, it can make you late for it if the game takes that. That's all I'm saying. That's a message to Lion Camp. Could you try and just... I did have a 7 o'clock booking and it ruined it. Anyway, we've got a poll for you again this week, and whatever sort of device you're watching on, you can vote on it on your screen somewhere with a little clicker, and the poll is very, very simple. You've got 3 choices, multiple choice. The poll question is this: how do you think tomorrow's going to go? How will the 2021 Lions series finish? Hit A if you think the Lions are going to win it. Hit B if you think South Africa are going to win it. Hit C if you think it's going to be a draw. So get onto the app, get voting on the poll. Now what we're going to do is go via satellite, via Zoom, I presume, how contemporary, into the Lions camp to chat with the erstwhile Lions chairman, Jason Leonard. Jason, do you read us?
Hello, David, how are you?
Very good. How are you? How's it going over there, Jace?
Yeah, it's okay. We're down in Cape Town at this moment in time. Everyone's genuinely very excited about this game tomorrow.
Have you just done, usually at this point when someone joins us on Lions Live, they've just done the jersey presentation. Is that where you've just come from? Yeah,
literally, we've just finished that. Neil Jenkins has just handed out jerseys to the players, said a few words. Obviously, Jenkins has been around on a few tours as a player and as a coach, so lots of experience to share with some of the players for tomorrow.
And when you say Neil Jenkins has handed it out, we're used to hearing of sort of the lengths that the coaches go to, that Warren Gatland goes to provide a kind of unique experience around the jersey presentation. But actually, Neil Jenkins is a very special individual in Lions terms, but he's not necessarily someone who's that vocal. He's not a loud man, is he, around camp? So a lot of words from Jenks might mean quite a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't say much, but when he does say something, you listen. I mean, he's a very experienced player, very experienced coach. So, yeah, he has that gravitas that you will listen to what he says.
And you've been around rugby almost all your life, Jason. You've been around a lot of big teams, around big games. And I'm sure you're a good person to sense the emotion in a room, the feeling in a room. How does it compare this evening, handing out the jerseys, to week one? Is there any difference? Is it all a little bit more earnest? The boys look a little bit more nervous? Because there's a bit more at stake, isn't there?
Yeah, no, that excitement's there. That natural nervousness is there. You've got a big game coming up in that aspect. No, it wasn't. Again, I think those days of people bouncing up and down and stuff like that, it's very calm, very collected. And again, as I said, you can't wait for the match to come around fast enough.
Jason, I want to ask, is it emotional, though, in that shirt presentation? Because I remember, for me, getting my last jersey before I retired, for some of those players, they won't get the chance to wear a Lion jersey again. So do you see tears? Do you see a bit of emotion from some of the players?
No, I didn't see any tears. Though saying that, we've been having PCR tests every day of late, and that does bring tears to your eyes, I can tell you that now. And I always laugh when they do the throat as well, and the sort of medic says, "Oh, do you have a gag reflex?" And you're like, "Well, we'll find out, won't we?" Sort of thing like that. But no, I don't think now's not necessarily the time for that, Maggie. I think that will come. I think you are right. I think everything is focused regarding the game tomorrow. That's the next thing. I think if we start thinking about, as you just said then, oh, we're not going to be doing this again, oh, in 4 years' time, I won't be around, or I will be around, will I get a chance? That's not the next job. The next job is we've got a game tomorrow, and you're prepping for that, and it's the game. I think once that game, the final whistle has gone, I think that will be the case. You are quite right there, Maggie, that I think a lot of people will be thinking, because that is quite emotional, that you've got a very special group of people, and that's not just players, that's management as well, that all of a sudden might not be around. This is the last time we'll be together, because you've got more chance getting a winning lottery ticket than everybody being selected again for the next tour in 4 years' time, and the same coaches and the same management and stuff like that. So I think it will be emotional, but I think it will be emotional after the game.
One thing that always interests me about Lions tours, Jace, is that, and we had Geach here talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and he, I'm not just telling you this because you're here with us, but he talked about you as being one of the most important Lions that he coached over the years and went on tours with, because if you were first choice, you were an ultimate team man helping everyone else. But then the times when in the games when someone else was picked to play, nothing changed. You hid your own personal disappointment. And there have been a few changes this week. Warren Gatland's made quite a few changes to that match day with the starting 15 and the match day 23. Have you noticed that sort of behaviour continuing? Has there been the lads are personally disappointed, but they've hidden it and absolutely digging in for the team, or there are a few heads down at the moment?
Yeah, no, very much. Literally, it's like anything else. You hide your own disappointment and you go and congratulate whoever's been selected. It's not changed at all over all these years. That you've got the best players from England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. That they expect to be picked, because that's what happens for England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. So you've got to manage that disappointment and that expectation. So, but the players are very good, as I said. They've been an absolute credit to the unions and their clubs and their families, because of the sacrifice and the effort they've put on into this tour has been so fantastic. And yeah, no, there's a couple of people that their heads are most really down a little tiny bit at this moment in time. But again, they're most really going to be the first ones screaming and shouting and making noise for the team that actually takes the field tomorrow. That's what Lions players do, whether you're actually in the squad or you're not.
So, Jace, we judge the players and obviously what we see on the pitch, and you've been involved with England for a while before the Lions tour, so you know the England boys pretty well. Which guys have stood out to you on tour that you didn't know beforehand, that you've got to know pretty well over 6-7 weeks, on and off the field? Who's impressed you?
I'd say it's quite a few. I've always, again, you don't. Sorry, Sam, and sorry, Maggie, but you don't go much further away from the front row, really, to be quite honest. As a front row, I'm not really interested in anyone else. So Flats knows what I'm talking about. But all the guys in the front row, they're all great players. They're great guys. And you have a look at Tyg Furlong, you'll have Ken Owens, all these guys, Wyn Jones. But you've got all the English boys coming off the bench tomorrow that are making impact. And And again, it's just the banter, the crack, and how they get on and how they mix and stuff like that. So no, but everybody's been exactly the same. It's been very hard. I've got to say that now. It's been hard for everybody involved. It has been a challenge, but you try and make the most of it. Again, going back to what we said, it's such an honour to be here and represent the British and Irish Lions. It's you want to do it justice. You want to live up to that legend that you're following, whoever wore the shirt before you, and you want to put it in a better place so whoever wears it after you feels exactly the same. So no, it's been great knocking around, seeing people and being involved, and there's not been much off-field stuff, Sam. I've got to say that now. Not back in my day, there'd be a lot more. But yeah, the guys we've got out, done a bit of golf, had a couple of quiz nights, bit of fun and stuff like that. So I guess there's a lot of characters on this trip.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been a very, very different tour from the many, many tours you've ever been on before. Has there been a bit of what you call fun generation, where actually the management are getting together and trying to work out ways for the boys to amuse themselves, because you can't go out and sort of introduce yourself to the local society on a Saturday night after a game?
Well, let's see. We haven't got Saturday out of the way yet first. You never know, everyone might be over the wall on Saturday night after the game.
Exactly.
No, it's one of these, but you've just got to try and make a bit of fun. You go a little bit old school, really, to a certain degree. You're playing a bit of cards, or again, we've got dartboards now. You've got a pool table. You've got this, like your quiz nights. Obviously, the management, especially the coaches, thought they was going to absolutely beast everyone in the quiz night, and I think most of the time they was in the bottom three all the time. So that put a big smile on a lot of the players' faces in that aspect. So it's just a different type of fun in that aspect.
Jace, I've been on a couple of tours of the year, and there weren't many quiz nights on those. But it's a unique tour. It's a unique tour, and we're very, very pleased that you joined us. We're very, very grateful indeed. And Mr. Chairman, enjoy your evening. Good luck tomorrow, and we'll all see you back on Terra Firma soon. Cheers, Jace.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate. What a legend. Yeah, it's an interesting one, because Jason's been on more tours than there have been, more than we've had hot dinners, more than there have been rugby tours. He's been everywhere. This ain't a normal Jason Leonard tour, is it?
This would have been a baptism of fire for him, I imagine,
yeah.
as much as anyone else. But if I was still
not allowed out, Jason Leonard not allowed out.
That's wild. Yeah. But if I was on this tour, it would be great to have someone like Jason just around the place. What a proper Lions, England rugby legend, you know. So I think it's a great acquisition to have him as chairman, and the boys will still love having him out there, won't they?
Yeah, and actually, although they can't go out, it's just having Jason in the room. Yes, he's a legend, but he's just, now he's gone, we can say he's just good company, isn't he? Which is handy when you're locked in a room for 6 or 7 weeks. Yeah.
He's a good tourist. I think that's what you need, don't you, on a long tour where you can't go and do the normal social activities. You're really stuck in this bubble. You need people who've got good character, good humour, just to keep everyone up and going. Because isn't the fitness guy? Is it Bobby? I think his nickname is. He's really like high energy, and you need that around a team that's having to go up and down through some challenges. Bobby's a guy who's so much fun. You expect him to come down and have an off day at some point, and 20 years later, it's never happened. It's unbelievable. Right, we're going to have a quick look at the poll and see how that's progressing. Lots of you have been voting, I'm told, in my ear. The question was, who do you think is going to win? How do you think it's going to end up? Do you think the Lions are going to win it, South Africa? Have a look at that. Only 6% have gone for a draw. Warby loves a draw, mind. That's where his money's on. That's where his vote's going. Everyone's thinking Lions. That's punchy. After last week, I would say, I mean, look, we're neutral here, OK? We're neutral broadcasters, except we're massive Lions fans and we're not neutral. I would say everyone back in the Lions is quite a punchy call, because they were quite well beaten last weekend.
Anything can happen, of course. Yes. That's the thing. This is the beauty of it. And I've got my last 2 predictions wrong, which shows. And and I've been involved in the last 2 tests. You don't know what's going to happen. That's the beauty of it. But you can't deny, on a continuum, I'm closer towards South Africa. They're definitely favourites going into the game. But it's a one-off game, and anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's have a butchers at the squad that Warren Gatland has named for the big day tomorrow, for Judgment Day. My eyes straight away there, Maggie, go to the back 3. Now, having watched the game last week, I'm thinking to myself, I reckon there's going to be some changes. The aerial game didn't go well last week for the Lions. Anthony Watson is going to be the only one who stays, I reckon. Turns out, very wrong indeed. Another prediction that went down the pan. Liam Williams in, Josh Adams in. Duhan van der Merwe retains his spot. What do you make of that back three? Surely that's just an aerial back three, isn't it?
Yeah, look, we always knew there's going to be changes to the back three. I am surprised that Watson isn't still in. If I'm honest, out of the back three on Saturday, he was probably the best out of a bad bunch. I hate to say it. You know, he offers a bit more of a threat. And van der Merwe, for me, at the moment, probably isn't... He's probably the weakest one in that back line at the moment, but he's a big winger, and that's what Gatlin loves. Having Williams back is brilliant. I think he's what they call in the bomb diffuser. I think he's very good in the air.
He might call himself that, actually, but either way, it's good. Yeah.
And then Josh Adams, you know, I'm actually surprised he wasn't even in the first test, let alone, you know, now being used in the third test. So I think it's a very good back three. I like to think with van der Merwe, he's going to step it up again, and you know he's going to get the aerial battle again. It's going to be key in the third test. But I do like the changes that he's made in the back line.
Do you reckon that back three, Sam?
Yeah, I think I was surprised Liam Williams wasn't in the back three from the start. So that looks more like a back three that I thought would have started the test series. I agree with Maggie. I would have had Watson. He looks the most dangerous ball in hand that we have. I don't know whether it's an injury or something. Maybe just unlucky. He's been quite cutthroat and not picked him. But what I find with this test series, what's different to the others is I don't think we've had a test series where 12 and 13 has changed so much. 12 and 13 has been different on every test. When you look at the last two tours, it's been pretty consistent around John Davis and Owen Farrell and Jamie Roberts and Brian O'Driscoll. And, you know, we haven't found that 12-13 combination. Henshaw and Aki have played together at Connaught and at Ireland, so I think that's quite nice. They played together on the very first game all the way back against Japan, which feels ages ago, now in Murrayfield.
Yeah.
So it was bigger Aki and Henshaw then, and they went really well. I do wonder whether if Henshaw didn't pick up his hamstring knock, those three would have played together more. So, you know, we need to find a centre partnership that can fire, and obviously I'm hoping, and I think it's likely that Aki and Henshaw will, as they already have that understanding.
I want to know, do you think Biggar was the right guy to go in at 10, because obviously he only made 3 passes. So do you think that's the way the Lions want to play?
Like going into the tour, Biggar was by far the best 10 from form. Like he was brilliant for Northampton, brilliant for Wales. It's funny how things work out. He was Wales' second choice 10 2 years ago in the World Cup behind Gareth Anscombe, and he was coming on off the bench. And now then within 2 years he was given opportunity. He's our best fly half. I think it's unlucky Finn Russell got injured early, didn't he? So we didn't see more of Finn Russell, so I can't wait to see what he does off the bench. But at the same time, can't put pressure on a guy to come off the bench who hasn't played now for nearly 5 weeks to come off and change a game. So the Lions need to be in the ascendancy, I feel, for Finn Russell to come on, or either significantly far behind. If he comes on, if it's tight, I don't know if he's going to come on.
You can't give him 10, 12 minutes, can you? You've got to give him half an hour. So, you know...
It'll be interesting how they play that tactically.
Yeah, so by the time you think, well, we need something different, there might only be 15, 20 minutes left, and he hasn't played for a month, you know, so it's gamble time, isn't it? At 12, that's a really interesting selection with Bundee Aki for a couple of reasons. There's been an assumption by a lot of people that if you're going to beat South Africa, you've got to play around them. So Bundee Aki is not... I mean, he can pass, he's got lovely skills, but he's not a second fly half. But there is a misconception also, there's a reason I think it's interesting, is because a lot of people think Bundee Aki is just a banger, and he is a banger. He's a big old powerful unit, and got to deal with Damien Diolandi, who's the best banger on the planet at the moment. But there is more to Bundee Aki's game. He can get the ball away. If you're used to playing with him, you get off his shoulders. He does have a really high skill level, actually. So presumably Warren Gatland wants to see as much of that as he does just the barrel balls at 12.
I'll tell you what he does do as well, Bundee Aki wins you turnovers. And the Lions got 8 turnovers in the first test. They got 2 turnovers in the second test. People are saying, how can we play wide? When you play wide, it's hard to play wide off set piece. You play wide off turnover ball. And the Lions have seriously lacked turnover balls. So people like Curry, Itoje, Aki, all have to deliver a couple of turnovers each, and they'll help the Lions play against an unorganised defence. And they can get wide then. So I think he's got a big role in defence as well.
Happy with that back row?
I am. I mean, I did initially think there was going to be a little bit of a change. Look, it's a bit controversial, but I actually thought at one stage you might push Laws to second row, take Alan Wynne-Jones out, and then put Byrne in at 6.
That's exactly what I thought, yeah.
But Alan Wynne-Jones, as we know, the legend
boss.
is, he's bossing it as it is, and he is the only real leader in that team, which you think under pressure in that third test can really command presence and also dictate a little bit with regards to speaking to the referee. But I do like the back row. I think Courtney Laws has obviously been quite significant in the line-out. I'm gutted for Byrne. I honestly think he's had a really good tour. He's just not been given any opportunity to really play, and he would have been quite significant, I think, in the third test because again, turnovers and what he does in the line-out. But I think having Beard on the bench is going to be key with regards to line out defence.
Yeah, and if the Peter Steph Dutoy went off last week, so they bring on Lou Diaga, and if anything, it steps up at maul time, at line-out time, and now it means that if things aren't going quite right, Adam Beard is particularly destructive on opposition mauls, isn't he? So he can be quite useful if the box get going.
He came on. He came on. I think it was South Africa A, wasn't it? It was South Africa A he played, and he came on, and he had like 2 line-out maul turnovers against the box. That is gold dust. Absolute gold dust. You cannot underestimate how important that is. So he's very good at line-out defence. I think then into the front row, Ken Owens, he's kind of gone back to... He knows Ken well. Ken's a good leader. He's experienced. It's his first test start, and they brought Wyn Jones in. You're more qualified to talk about the props than myself, but it seems to me that Wyn would be our strongest scrummager. I think
Rory Sutherland is a really exciting player, but he's crumbled one time too many. I think Mako Vunipola is... I mean, we know world-class, capable of starting this game, no problem. But I think if you're going to... Now Wyn Jones is fully fit, he would, in my eyes, and I expect in Warren Gatland's eyes, be seen as the strongest pure scrummager. Now, if you're going to bring someone off the bench with 25 minutes to go when half the opposition are tired, or most of the opposition are tired, you're better off bringing Mako on because he's a baller, basically, and he can do everything. Whereas Wyn Jones he's more your props basic role. But also, it's quite interesting that he's playing with Ken Owens because it can make a big difference for a loosehead prop which hooker they play with, because they're kind of under his armpit. It's a very intimate relationship. But also it can be, Ken might want certain things on their own putting. He might be able to just say to Wyn Jones, I need it higher, mate. Get it higher, boy, or sink it down for me a little bit, just to make it more comfortable. And they will have that sort of relationship, that symbiotic relationship, which that's not a good enough reason to pick someone. But these little things all add up. And who do you want to bring off the bench at loosehead more than Mako almost in World Rugby, actually? So good around the field.
So I was thinking, I wouldn't see, if I was Mako Vunipola or Cowan Dickey or Simmons or Russell, I wouldn't see it as a negative they've been on the bench. It's actually a compliment because they're like, right, you guys can change a game. So it's actually a compliment to them that they're on the bench. They'll come on and play in the most significant portion of the game. So the bench is great for the Lions. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do when they come off.
Yeah, and of course, we're excited to see everybody, but we're mainly excited to see Sam Simmons come off the bench and get a run at it.
Of course.
He's an absolute freak show.
He brings tempo, and he hasn't really had a chance to show what he can do. And I think if South Africa do die out a little bit towards the end, he will find the gaps, won't he?
Yeah, if the Lions bring on Sam Simmons at the same time South Africa bring on Lou Diaga, you're thinking, right, one of their second row replacements, you're thinking, right, Sam, dodge him, but enjoy yourself, all right? You're not afraid of anyone, except that big one and that big one and that big one. Yeah, right, that's interesting insight. Thank you very much, guys. It's time to catch up with another Lions legend, but this time a coach. This is the man, as you said before, Rugby League legend for Great Britain, Wigan and Great Britain. He played for everyone, he's coached everyone, he knows his onions by now, so we went to South Devon to catch up with Andy Farrell at his holiday home, and why not?
Andy, I take it you've watched the first 2 British and Irish Lions test out in South Africa. What have you made of them?
I suppose it was to be expected. The war of attrition, the physical battle, the set piece, field position orientated games. That's always going to be on a knife edge, and I think from the start that's how it was always going to be. People talking about the war of attrition and what's that like? Do we want to see more expansive rugby? But at the end of the day, it's a 3-game series that both teams are trying to win.
What do you do against a team who you believe are effectively time wasting in order to suck a bit of oxygen in?
It's all the bits that lead you to that in the first place, isn't it? Set piece wise, make sure that you're disciplined as far as defending the maul, etc. Making sure that your kick pressure is good enough that they can't get the ball out where they want it to go. On the other hand, it's about you playing with a bit of tempo yourself, you know. The South Africans as well are masters at trying to slow the breakdown down. But I suppose the Lions this week will be looking at the running lines, trying to get one-on-one tackles, making sure that the rucking's a little bit more efficient, etc., and try and speed the game up to how they want to play it.
And in terms of sort of the psychological approach, as much as anything else, the momentum has swung back right towards the Springboks after the second test. You were coaching in 2013 when you lost the second test. Does that affect how you coach? Does it affect the mentality in the group?
I've heard Warren allude to what we talked about in 2013 when Hallwell, the Australian captain, was on his knees after the second test, and he was in tears, crying on the pitch because he'd saved the series and took it to the last week. And I remember speaking to Graham Rowntree about it, and I was saying this is what's happened to me playing for Great Britain the whole time regarding, wow, you're so relieved to take it to the last week, but to get yourself back up again when you're in such a state like that is a tough ask. But it was different for the South Africans, I felt, after the second test. I look at Hallwell on his hands and knees, and then I look at Esterbeth after the game, just shaking his hands, shaking everyone's hands, and see you next week type thing. So they'll be ready. The South Africans. I don't think they certainly won't be tired anyway.
Faf de Klerk out and Cobus Reinach in. I guess you lose something, but you gain something else, because Cobus Reinach, if he gets a couple of metres of space, is lethal, isn't he? Arguably more lethal even than Faf de Klerk, because he's so quick.
For me, the biggest one that they'll miss is Faf de Klerk, because you could talk about class player playing quick or whatever, but I'm a big believer in how you make people feel, and he's the cheeky chap who is winding the opposition up, who is winding his own teammates up and getting them into the right emotional state every single time. And that's not just every single game; that's every single minute of the game. He's the emotional glue, and he keeps them powering forward.
As you approach a Lions tour, what are the differences between that and, say, coaching on an Ireland tour in your mind? Is it just way less tactical, technical stuff and actually more human bonding, or actually do you approach it exactly the same? Because this is why I got the job, so I'm going to do it this way.
That is it to me, is getting that balance right. That 100% is it. If you're just behind a computer all day as a coach and trying to show everyone how good tactically you are, then you've not got time flats to show everyone everything that you know. It's managing your time properly to make sure that you've got the bonds, because in any walk of life, especially in the big occasions, when everyone goes to battle together, trust is the main thing, isn't it? Everyone's got to be on board. So it's getting the right balance of understanding the bond that you need to have, understanding the tactical astuteness of your players, and where they're at, or whether they understand the plan, whether they agree with the plan. These are top class players that need to be brought into the net, and also they need to be asked a few questions as well of what do you think, etc., and where are you at, and try and get this togetherness that they are working from the same page as one, as a group, rather than, I think, somebody just dictating to them, because I think you lose the human aspect there.
We took a lot from the rugby league culture, the sort of the social aspect of rugby league, not just in the pub, but also around the team room and around the training field. Do you think that's one of the reasons why there are so many ex-rugby league players and rugby league coaches in rugby union now, because they understand that human tactical balance?
Certainly, there's a lot of moving parts to the jigsaw, isn't there, as far as rugby's concerned, and I think that's why Warren's been very successful over the years. That he's one that's never tried to complicate it. Of course, there are a million things that you'd love to get through in a week, but at the same time, you've got to make sure that the players are mentally fresh and ready to go, rather than being fried going into a game and worried about getting things wrong the whole time. So Warren will be keeping this week as basic as he possibly can, so that he can build up the emotion. There's one thing that cannot happen here. The South Africans have got an unbelievable, powerful story, haven't they? And so it's one of the reasons why the world champions. But that cannot be an excuse for the South Africans to have more teamship, more best mates scenario to the opposition in the Lions. The British and Irish Lions have to show the brotherhood, the togetherness, even more so than the South Africans, and it goes a big way. It goes a long way, to winning any type of test match.
What I mustn't do to you is put you in the position of asking you for a prediction, because they don't work. Predictions are a mug's game. You can't win. You absolutely can't win. But how do you think the third test's going to go?
my predictions change every 30 seconds when I watch.
Same here,
and, because that is the game, isn't it? The two brilliant sides. Mistakes are going to happen. The human. It's who deals with the next moment. Who doesn't put an error on top of another error on top of another error, and all of a sudden, it is about momentum as we go. We constantly talk about first half and second. It's not that, Flats. It's 1 minute to the next, and making sure that you don't back up your errors, making sure that you put a positive on a positive on a positive the whole time, and that's how you build momentum. So whoever manages to do that, whoever manages to get on the right side of the penalty count, whoever manages to be dominant as far as set piece is concerned, they're all the things that they know is unbelievably important. If they're going well for you, because that's what you've practiced, like I said earlier, the emotions in the right place.
Yeah, Faz, thanks for the chat. Really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the third test.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, Flats. Have a good one.
I'd love to be coached by Andy Farrell. Would you, Maggie?
I would love to use whatever skincare cream you're using, because I have to say you look really dapper in that interview.
It's the lighting, but thank you. Thank you.
To answer your question, yes, I would love to be also coached by Andy Farrell. I think, just the way he speaks, and I
listen to him all day.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so motivational. It makes you really want to play well for him. But I think some of the words he's saying, just generally, he's very rational about what he's saying about the Lions, and it's about the moments and making sure you manage those moments properly rather than first half and second half. He's just an awesome coach.
He makes so many good points about sort of crystallising what you want to tell the team, and the way he talks, he crystallises it right down and doesn't have to show off about how much he knows. He just tells you exactly what to do. And one of the many things that I found interesting about that interview, Sam, was that he mentioned James Horwell in the Aussie Test in 2013 was on the ground crying, broken that they'd managed to win the second test, and he'd given everything, and that gave him hope because he said they've emptied the tank, whereas Eben Etzbeth was walking around saying, see you next week, lads, having won. So that's an interesting point, isn't it? Because they didn't look empty at the end of that game, the Box.
No, it's a good point, and it's something that the boys in 2013 learnt in 2017, because I remember when we won the second test, it was like, I remember doing the interview after the game, and they were like, oh, this is grandchildren telltale time. It was like, no, got to win next week. So it's like making sure you win, but don't get carried away, because it's only half the job. You're not there to win one test, you're there to win two. And Andy Farrell, big Faz it is. I've only known him when himself and Owen are together. So when you're in Lions camps, them, it's big Faz and little Faz. So like big Faz. You can't go Faz. He's big Faz, but he's such a good coach. He's one of the best coaches I've ever had, hands down. I can't speak high enough of him. And he's not just done it with the Lions when he's got all the players at his disposal. He's beaten the All Blacks with the Lions, with Ireland, and with England. He's coached 3 teams to beat the All Blacks. So he's a brilliant coach and knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he really is. Right, let's have a look at this poll, see how it ended up. How do you all at home or on the tube or in the office, wherever you're watching this, think it's going to go? I'll say 3/4, 1% off. 74% of you think the Lions are going to win. That's punchy. That's punchy. I like that. We mustn't ask for predictions because they don't work, as I said to Faz. Maggie, who's going to win? In a word or 3, who's going to win?
Do you know, like you, all my predictions have not gone the way I had hoped it had been. So based on the second test and the second half, I'm actually going to say South Africa are going to edge it. I want the Lions to win it, of course I do, but I just feel like based on what we saw from the South Africans on the second test, if they can get the game to be stoppy-starty, I think it'll play in their favour.
Stoppy-starty, technical term, I like
that's it. That's what you go to university for.
Exactly.
But if the Lions can keep the tempo up, then it'll go their way. But I'm going to say South Africa.
Good objectivity, like it.
I 100% agree with Maggie. If the first half is quick and the Lions can play at high tempo, then the Lions will win. If the first half is slow, I think South Africa will win.
OK, right, predictions are in.
You?
Me?
Yeah,
right,
you.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. I think Arsenal will win 2-0. Did you know Messi's going to sign for Arsenal? Not true, but it could be true. That's another prediction that won't come true. Thanks to all of you for joining us over the last few weeks on Lions Live, created, of course, by Vodafone. While you're in the app, do remember that you can vote for who you think your player of the series is. You can see how the voting's going on that. And via the little section called 360 Moments, you can have this amazing footage. It's all kind of witchcraft, but you're in the changing rooms, you're in the tunnel, you're pitch side with the players. It feels like you're actually there. You're in the bath with them, you're in the toilet. You're not. I mean, those bits are made up, but you might be. I haven't checked the app today. You might be. Thanks very much, yes, to all of you for joining us, but also to the special guests we've had. Thanks to Maggie and Sam, of course, and to Jason Leonard, the chairman, and the legend, Andy Farrell. We've really enjoyed ourselves. I hope you've enjoyed it over the last few weeks. It's been fun doing Lions Live, powered by the legends at Vodafone, so thank you for them too. We hope you enjoy the third test. It's all or nothing. Good luck, everyone.